Thank you for your presentation, and now we come to the last presentation of this panel. I told you that we have only 2 presentations instead of 3. The last contribution to this panel is dedicated to the topic how digital technologies support the fight against Holocaust distortion and denial, an Italian case study. This presentation focuses on the experience of a group of Italian museums involved in the project and seeks to examine how they promote Holocaust remembrance and education and counter Holocaust distortion on social media. Mrs. Marta Testa will share the findings and reflections with us. She is a research fellow at the Department of Science Education and Psychology at the University of Florence. She graduated in Italian and French law in July 2021 at the University of Florence and Paris 1 with a thesis about the right to education as a key to access to citizenship, legal and social perspectives for comparison. Mrs. Testa works for the WeWorld Anlass organization and is currently in charge of the secretariat of the postgraduate course at the University of Florence, teaching the Shoah, learning through museums and memorials.
Thank you very much. I can stay here? Okay, that's it, perfecto. Good morning, everyone. My aim today is to present you a project that just came to an end. Before I start, I just want to spend a few words concerning my professors, Professor Davide Capperucci and Professor Silvia Guetta, who unfortunately couldn't join us in Vienna today. Still, I'm very happy to be here and represent them and the work that we carried out within the University of Florence. The project I am presenting today is entitled Countering Holocaust Distortion on Social Media. May I ask you? Thank you. So let's start with a brief introduction to the project. This project was led by 3 partners: the International Center for Technologies and Research of Genova, the University of Education of Weingarten, and the Forlipsi department of the University of Florence, which is the department concerned with education, where we come from. This project was implemented in 2 countries, so it can give a wide and international sight on the work that we carried out. And it was all about the analysis of the Italian and German background in terms of Shoah distortion occurring on social media. The aim was to identify good practices to counter Holocaust distortion on social media and to promote a correct historical memory. Within this project, we also have some collaborators who were very important in order to achieve the results of this project. Reference is made, notably, to Italian and German museums and memorials who participated in this project and helped us understand how Holocaust distortion is perceived on their social media pages. Also, we could benefit from the expertise of several stakeholders who helped us understand how Holocaust distortion should be managed on social media. And we also had the chance to benefit from the experience of a group of teachers who show a lot of interest in the topic of Holocaust memory promotion and Holocaust distortion. Thank you. So the main question guiding this project was, how can museums and memorial contribute through their social channels and digital engagement to the promotion and dissemination of correct content and to countering Holocaust distortion? This presentation will not focus on the whole project because it would be too wide. I will just focus on the Italian case. So I will show you the results coming from our collaboration with the 4 museums that collaborated with us from Italy. And So this presentation will focus on the activities promoted by museums and memorials in the field of social media and digital technologies, among problems, challenges, and good practices. Also, this presentation will particularly focus on the implications of COVID-19 pandemic, which really helped us understanding how important social media and digital technologies are while promoting topics such as countering Holocaust distortion and promoting a correct history and remembrance. At the beginning of the project, we started by organizing interviews with 4 Italian museums. Our interviewees were the personnel in charge of the communication within the museums. What we could see by speaking with them, I will just go to the next slide, is that there is a common path that we can recognize in how digital technologies are used by museums and memorials, because there are some common points. Concerning the target, all the museums say that their targets are mostly students, teachers, and academics. So what we can find out from these results is that people who are most interested in these topics are those people who have a high level of education. This also means that the aim is to involve also those people who are less educated, who still need to be informed about these topics. Another topic that we dealt with during the interviews was the one of Holocaust education activities. In fact, while speaking about promoting on social media and countering Holocaust distortion, we are in fact talking about educating people and helping them in learning something new in order to avoid making mistakes and distorting the Holocaust. The museums we had the chance to talk with told us about their experiences and explained us that in order to promote these activities, they organize workshops, postgraduate courses, educational trips, but also exhibitions aimed at schools, explanatory videos, projects aimed at students, schools, roundtables, guided tours. All of that wasn't made only in presence, but also online by developing new strategies and new technologies. So they found out ways, especially due to COVID-19, to transpose all these in-presence activities online. Especially concerning Holocaust education activities, I want to point out an interesting activity carried out by one of the museums that we worked with, which is a desk online aimed at helping students with their researches concerning the Holocaust and the effects of World War II. This experience shows that students are very interested in discovering this topic and that if they receive the help that they need, they are able to deepen it and to understand it and fulfill in this way the principal aim of museums and memorials. Lastly, concerning activities aimed at countering distortion, we can see that from the experience and from the perceptions of museums and memorials, the results are mostly the same because, as I was saying before, educating is also preventing distortion. On a practical level, we have been talking with the museums and the memorials about which are the challenges that they encounter the most while promoting Holocaust memory and remembrance on social media. The main problem is time and budget. In fact, usually, the people who are in charge of digital communication within the museums are also the ones who are in charge of traditional communication. This means that they do not have the time to manage it all, and this causes a lack of contents on social media and digital technologies. A good tip in order to solve this problem has been identified to be the fact to employ trainees, even though it is hard to train them and to form them in order to be able to work with social media and Holocaust topics. We also asked museums about how much they perceived the importance of digital technologies, and they say that it is well perceived. Only one of the museums said that they perceive the website as not so important, while the other three say that it was medium and high importance. While social media are recognized to be very useful by all the museums, especially concerning Facebook, Instagram, and residually Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Concerning LinkedIn, this is very interesting to note that this can be, according to the museums, a good field to work on because it is not already filled with users. So it is easier on LinkedIn probably to reach out an audience and to get someone to be interested in the topic. Also, those people on LinkedIn are professionals and are those people who are actually able and in charge of making the difference. So as I was saying, the two major social media are Facebook and Instagram, which are the most used by museums and memorials. What we can note is that Facebook and Instagram have different targets. Facebook has a more agile target, while Instagram is more addressed to young people and youth. As the two social are different, they also need different contents and strategies to deal with. And so this is why it is very important to identify the audience that museums are referring to before they post. While posting, museums report using strategies such as scheduling tools, calendar of publications, graphics and video, editing tools, but also manual monitoring and little use of paid advertising systems. And the last two, because of the lack of time and budget I was speaking about just a few minutes ago. Here you can see some good practices that we could identify concerning Holocaust education on social media, especially the transposition of exhibitions and courses aimed at students and teachers online. While concerning Holocaust distortion and denial, we have been talking with the museums about which are the reactions that they tend to adopt when they receive some comments which are about distortion or denial. Some of them answered that they used to be tolerant and to just try to answer to those people, trying to furnish them with some useful material, bibliography, and they invite them to visit the museums and the libraries in order to get informed. Some other also say that sometimes these comments contains insults and that they cannot leave them on the page, and so they just censor them. They delete them. Okay? As I was saying before, an important instrument for understanding how much social media are important for countering Holocaust distortion was COVID-19. In fact, COVID-19 forced us to discover how much we could use digital technologies. And at the end of this awful experience, the museums are now thinking to continue to implement those activities that they discovered during the COVID pandemic. So they wish to continue using digital technologies and social media and to implement it even more, even if they can start to develop in-presence activities again. Okay, I will just, thank you. A very interesting thing that I wanted to point out is that at the end of this project, what museums said is that they recognized having a major aim, which is not the one of promoting their own museum, but the one to promote the correct memory and remembrance of the Holocaust. So they are now willing and thinking about creating a common network so that they can participate together by collaborating to this big aim and without being competitors but helping each other. So my presentation is over. I invite you to take a look at the report of the project, which you can find on this website. In effect, this is the EHRI website. and because this project was led and financed also by EHRI. So you will see all these results more in detail, and you will be able to see not only the Italian results, but also the German one. Thank you very much.